Chapter 25. Hazel. Everything smelled like poison. 2 days after leaving Venice, Hazel still couldn't get the noxious scent of eau de cal monster out of her nose. The seasickness didn't help. The Argo II sailed down the Adriatic, a beautiful, glittering expanse of blue, but Hazel couldn't appreciate it, thanks to the constant rolling of the ship. Above deck, she tried to keep her eyes fixed on the horizon. The white cliffs had always seemed just a mile or so to the east. What country was that? Croatia? She wasn't sure. She just wished that she could get on solid ground again. The thing that nauseated her the most was the weasel. Last night, Hectate's pet Gale had appeared in her cabin. Hazel woke from a nightmare, thinking, "What is that smell?" She found the furry rodent propped up on her chest, staring at her with its beady black eyes. Nothing like waking up screaming, kicking off your covers, and dancing around your cabin while Weasel scampers between your feet, screeching and farting. Her friends rushed to a room to see if she was okay. The weasel was difficult to explain. Hazel could tell that Leo was trying not to make a joke. In the morning, once the excitement had died down, Hazel decided to visit Coach Hedge, since he could talk to animals. She'd found his cabin door ajar and heard the coach inside talking as if he was on the phone with someone, except for they had no phones on board. Maybe he was sending a magical iris message. Hazel had heard that the Greeks use those a lot. "Sure, hon," he was saying. "Yeah, I know, baby. No, it's great news, but..." His voice broke with emotion. Hazel suddenly felt horrible for eavesdropping. She would have backed away, but Gale squeaked at her heels. Hazel knocked on the coach's door. Hedge poked his head out, scowling as usual, but his eyes were red. "What?" he growled. Sorry," Hazel said. "Are you okay?" The coach snorted and opened his door wide. "Kind of question is that?" There was no one else in the room. Hazel tried to remember why she was here. "I was wondering if you could talk to my weasel." The coach's eyes narrowed. He lowered his voice. "Are we speaking in code? Is there an intruder aboard?" "Well, sort of." Gale peeked out from behind Hazel's feet and started chattering. The coach looked offended. He chattered back at the weasel. They had sort of like a very intense argument. "What did he say?" Hazel asked. "A lot of rude things," grumbled the satyr. "The gist of it? She's here to see how it goes." "See how what goes?" Coach Hedge stomped his hoof. "How am I supposed to know? She's a polecat. They never give a straight answer. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got, stuff." He closed the door in her face. After breakfast, Hazel stood at the port rail, trying to settle her stomach. Next to her, Gale ran up and down the railing, passing gas, but the strong wind off the Adriatic helped whisk it away. Hazel wondered what was wrong with Coach Hedge. He must have been using an iris message to talk to someone, but if he'd gotten great news, why had he looked so devastated? She'd never seen him so shaken up. Unfortunately, she doubted the coach would ask for help if he needed it. He wasn't exactly the warm and open type. She stared off at the white cliffs in the distance and thought about why Hecate had sent Gale the polecat. She's here to see how it goes. Something was about to happen. Hazel would be tested. She didn't understand how she was supposed to learn magic with no training. Hazel expected to defeat some super powerful sorceress. The lady in the gold dress, whom Leo had described from his dream? But how? Hazel had spent all her free time trying to figure that out. She'd stared at her spatha, trying to make it look like a walking stick. She tried to summon a cloud to hide the full moon. She'd concentrating until her eyes crossed and her ears popped, but nothing happened. She couldn't manipulate the mist. The last few nights, her dreams had gotten worse. She found herself back in the fields of Seattle, drifting aimlessly among the ghosts. Then she was in Gaia's cave in Alaska, where Hazel and her mother had died as the ceiling collapsed and the voice of the earth goddess wailed in anger. She was on the stairs of her mother's apartment building in New Orleans, face to face with her father Pluto. His cold fingers gripped her arm. The fabric of his black wool suit writhed with imprisoned souls. He fixed her with his dark, angry eyes and said, "The dead see what they believe they will see. So do the living. That is the secret." He'd never said that to her in real life. She had no idea what it meant. The worst nightmares seemed like glimpses of the future. Hazel was stumbling through a dark tunnel while a woman's laughter echoed around her. "Control this if you can, child of Pluto," the woman taunted.